Today we'll be looking at something called inferencing. For example, let's look at this video right now. In this video, you can see that a woman is laughing while reading a book. Now, what do we know about that? Well, we can understand that person is reading a book. We also understand that when someone smiles or laughs, it means they're having a good time or it means that something is funny. When you combine this with a person reading a book, the conclusion that you draw is that the book that this person is reading must be funny or it must be humorous. This is what we call inferencing. While I was talking, you may have noticed some sounds, specifically bird noises. Now, this was done on purpose. What can you make about the bird noises? There's a couple of inferences that you can make about this. One is that I'm outside recording this. Another is that I'm near a birdhouse and there's a lot of birds there. Or the more reasonable explanation can be that I have pet birds. And if that's the conclusion that you drew while you were listening to me, then you are correct. And here is a picture of my birds. So, making an inference simply means to use what you already know to make a guess about something that you don't know, because things aren't always told to you directly. Therefore, you have to make an educated guess about a situation, about an image, about a picture. So right now, we're going to make an inference about this image that you see here. A lot of you might already be familiar with these characters. These are very beloved characters from Harry Potter. So, when we're looking at this image from the very first Harry Potter movie, what can we tell? We can see that there are 3 characters, and there's something specific about this image. All 3 characters are looking up and look at their facial expressions. They look like they're scared, right? Their mouths are wide open like they're screaming. What can we make about this? This tells us that the 3 characters are probably really scared. What else can we inference about this? We can see that they're together. We can see that they're in uniform, and their uniform looks very similar. Let's look at his tie, her tie. His tie are all the same color. Furthermore, they're all wearing gray sweaters. And finally, you can't tell for the female character, but for the 2 male characters, you can see that there's a logo on their robe. This tells us that all 3 students come from the same school. In this scene, we can inference that the students are scared or frightened. And let's look at the scene from a different perspective. Here is that same scene, but taken from a different angle. So in this picture, it gives you a little bit more perspective. Here we have the same characters again. And what are they looking at? We can see that the characters are looking at a creature. This creature is large. It has 3 heads and it has 1 body, right? So we can see the 4 legs here. 2, 3, 4. We can now understand that these 3 characters are scared because they came across this creature, 3-headed dog named Fluffy. So from this image, we can inference why the students are scared. However, in the first image, you cannot see Fluffy the dog. Therefore, all you can deduce is that the 3 students are scared. And that's all you're doing. You're looking at a situation and you're making an educated guess about what is happening or what do you know about it. So here we know that they're looking up, their mouths are wide open, they look frightened, they're wearing the same uniform. Therefore, these students are scared and they're frightened about something that they're seeing. That's all inferencing. So, people make inferences every single day. They do this when they are speaking, writing, observing. Making inferences is a very important part of reading comprehension. What it allows you to do is it allows you to understand and make sense of what is happening in a story, especially if the story isn't very clear about what's happening. So you have to look around to see what are the characters going through, how is the scene being described to you, to get an idea about what is happening and to make an inference about that. That is part of how inferencing works. To understand how inferencing works, especially when you're reading a story, you can do this in 4 very easy steps. There are 4 simple steps to inference when you're reading. First, you read the story, the text, whichever it is that you're reading. Second, you look for clues, facts, and details which are important in the story. Number 3, you put them both together with what you know. So what do you already know? Does the character have a certain expression? Is the character sad, happy? Is there something happening? Did someone get hurt? What is going on in the story? So So put together what you already know with clues from the story, and then you make an inference. So let's try to inference this story. This story is about blind men and an elephant. Let's start in the beginning. Once upon a time, there lived 6 blind men in a village. One day, the villagers told them, "Hey, there is an elephant in the village today." They had no idea what an elephant was. They decided, even though we would not be able to see it, let us go and feel it anyway. All of them went where the elephant was. See, here is an important point. Let us go and feel it anyway. Now that is a form of inferencing. So even though they can't see, they can still touch to make sense of what this is. "Hey, the elephant is a pillar," said the first man who touched his leg. "Oh no, it's like a rope," said the second man who touched his tail. "Oh no, it's like a thick branch of a tree," said the third man who touched the trunk of the elephant. "It's like a big hand fan," said the fourth man who touched the ear of the elephant. "It's like a huge wall," said the fifth man who touched the belly of the elephant. "It's like a solid pipe," said the sixth man who touched the tusk of the elephant. So let us make sense of what they saw. These are the legs. Here is his tail. This is the body. Here are his ears. Here is a trunk, and here is a tusk. Here we have labeled all the parts of the elephant. We know that's not what an elephant actually looks like. However, these blind men are inferencing based on what they already know. So the tail feels like a rope because the blind man has felt what a rope feels like before. The man who touched his leg said it's like a pillar. Pillar is like a wall that's rounded. It's similar to when you're building Legos and you have those small rounds to make floor for a house. So for him, legs felt like pillars because they're rounded and they're sturdy. For the man who touched the trunk of the elephant, he said that it felt like a tree branch. So we know that tree branches are rough and they're curved. Because elephants have thin, large ears, the man who touched ears of the elephant thought it felt like a hand fan. Finally, we know that the tusk of the elephant is very thick, sturdy, and long like a pipe. So the sixth man who touched the tusk of the elephant said the elephant felt like a pipe. Now let's continue on with the story. They began to argue about the elephant, and every one of them insisted that he was right. A wise man was passing by and he saw this. He stopped and asked, "What is the matter?" They said, "We cannot agree to what the elephant is like." Each one of them told what he thought the elephant was like. The wise man explained to them, "All of you are right. The reason every one of you is telling it differently is because you touch different parts of the elephant. So actually, the elephant has all of those features you all said." "Oh," said everyone. There was no more fight. They felt happy they were right. What does this mean? It means that each and every one of them has felt a different body part of the elephant, and based on what they already knew, they were making connections to what they had previously touched. Therefore, for some of them, it felt like a tree trunk. And this is what we call inferencing. So whether you're reading a story or you're watching a movie or you're just looking at a certain scene, you basically come to a conclusion of what is happening, and that's what these men did. So another example of this is, imagine you're on your way to the northern store to get groceries. Before you're able to get to the store, there's a long lineup of people. So you're about a block away from being able to enter. What can you inference about this situation? Well, let's look at what's going on. We can see that there is a long lineup of people waiting to get their groceries. Perhaps you might also see that only a very few number of people are being let inside the store at a time. Once someone gets out of the store, the next person is allowed inside. To inference about this situation, we are making a guess about what is going on. From this situation, we can understand that perhaps the store is only allowing a limited number of people inside at a time. This could be for many reasons. One, it could be for safety, so people don't get overcrowded inside the store and injure themselves. Another could be because of COVID-19 protocols, so that the store can clean and make sure that everyone is safe while they're shopping, so only small number of people are being let in. Or it could also be that the store is having a sale on a certain item such as chocolates, and they want to make sure that everyone has a chance to grab them, so they're allowing few people at a time to shop, leave, and the next batch of people to come in. You can also make many more guesses of what's going on, but the guesses that you're coming up with are all inferencing. So you're looking at the situation information and you're coming up with an explanation about what is happening and why you're waiting for so long. You're making a guess about why there's such a long lineup to enter the store to get your groceries.
So these are all inferencing. Let's finish the story. The moral of this story about the blind man and the elephant is that there might be some truth to what everyone says. What you and your friend inferences might be different, but doesn't mean that either of you are wrong. You are just drawing on your own experiences. Because you and your friend come from different backgrounds or different families and have different experiences, you might draw different conclusions, and that's okay. Instead of arguing like the six blind men did in the story, it's better to reason and explain why you think it. And this way, not only do you not cause arguments, but you can draw a better conclusion, right? Build on your friend's ideas, and your friend builds on your ideas to draw a better conclusion of what's going to happen in the end of the story or what's going to happen in a movie that you're watching. This is what inferencing is. I hope that helps.